My God, I hate drugs.
Justice, just the status on the Mama Sapano case.
Well, we indicted the president, and we indicted also Purisima for conspiracy in committing usurpation of authority. But there was an appeal to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court issued a TRO restraining the Sandigan Bayan from proceeding with the Mama Sapano case. So that's the present status.
Because I think the appeal, Justice, was to charge him for...
Yes, they wanted him indicted, they wanted the president indicted for reckless imprudence resulting to multiple homicide, 45 cases of homicide, because I think there were 45 who died. So that's the present status now. There's a TRO, so the Sandigan Bayan has to hit the Supreme Court mandate.
And you were criticized for that because it appeared that you may have charged the former president, but it was a soft or a weak charge.
We go by the evidence. We cannot be pressured to file a particular case against someone if we don't believe that that should be the charge. We go by the evidence. Have integrity.
An anti-corruption crusader.
We go by the evidence. We cannot pressure to file a particular case against someone if we don't believe that that should be the charge.
Defying President Rodrigo Duterte himself.
It is the Ombudsman and not the Office of the President which has administrative jurisdiction over an overall Deputy Ombudsman and the Deputy Ombudsman.
Soon ending her stint at the Office of the Ombudsman. What lies ahead for Conchita Panay Morales? Let's go straight to the source of the story, Ombudsman Conchita Panay Morales. Ma'am, Justice?
Yes.
Again, thank you for this interview.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be interviewed by you again.
How are you feeling? 1 month left.
I'm excited. My friends tell me if you had waited for almost 7 years, why can't you wait for more than a month more?
You are known to be a very hard worker here at the Office of the Ombudsman. You come in at 6 a.m.
Yes, that's right.
What are you going to do on your first day of retirement? What time will you wake up? You're not going to come here at 6 a.m.
Of course, I'll wake up late, but you know my body clock is there. Whether I like it or not, I usually wake up for 4:45 and thereabouts.
You said you're excited.
I am.
Yeah, but will you miss the people around here? The people
Certainly, I'll miss them, and they'll miss me too, I'm sure. They'll miss my voice, they'll miss my crankiness, they'll miss everything about me. Especially most of my staff came from the Supreme Court.
Are you itching to leave the Office of the Ombudsman?
Yes, after almost 7 years, as I have been saying before, I think I'm a masochist because the volume of work is simply too overpowering.
You are leaving the office with how many cases left, Justice?
We have yet to fully conduct a physical inventory, but as of end of last year, there were more than 6,000 cases.
Are you quite satisfied with that? Because I remember the last time we spoke, ma'am, and research will tell us that when you came in, you inherited about
19,000?
19,000,
Right.
18,000 cases.
Yes.
And then nadagdagan pa yun, Justice, as you...
Yes, yes. I inherited 19,000 more or less, and for every year, there was an inflow of cases around 6,000 more or less.
Justice, if you were to look back at the landmark cases filed during the time you were ombudsman, what would they be?
Landmark cases? Well, of the cases against President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, the cases against Binay, the case against Ongpin, though the Sandigan Bayan dismissed that case.
But what are the cases you feel after you leave that need to be pursued immediately?
The cases which are pending in court because if they are not dismissed because of inordinate delay, the cases which are dismissed have long been filed before I came in.
Naiwan na kaso.
Yun may pending investigation.
Oh, may pending investigation that you wish matapos or matugunan ng susunod na ombudsman. Which ones would they be?
Cases against those who are alleged to have committed offenses in the DAP cases and the remaining PDAF cases, some Malampaya cases, and all these high-profile cases.
Do you feel, Justice, that nagkaroon ho ba kayo ng pagkukulang somehow? Because when I look back at what you have said to us and to the rest of the media, that you were hoping that by last year you would have finished the PDAF cases, and I believe the DAP cases as well.
I said I intended to finish it before or on about the expiration of my term. But unfortunately, given the volume of cases that the office is handling, I am afraid we may not be able to finish all PDAF cases. There are several of them.
So that that promise, I guess, that you had...
That was an expectation.
Sorry?
That was an expectation.
Yeah, an expectation did not...
Yes.
You did not
May
fulfill
not.
that.
Well, between now and July 25, why not?
Kaya pa ba?
I really don't know.
How do you feel though when it's been said over and over again, and you've been hit by this kind of criticism, that because of the PDAF cases and the DAP cases, that you are doing selective justice?
That's not true. You will note that, and they always say that what I did was to file cases against the opposition, namely Enrile, Revilla, and Estrada, among other legislators. Why were these cases prioritized? First, they are high-profile cases. Second, and more importantly, you recall that Napoles executed an affidavit naming them, detailing the circumstances that gave rise to the cases. So it was Estrada, it was Revilla, and it was Ponce Enrile. She came up with even matrix of data. So, and with respect to some legislators, congressmen, she mentioned Linete and Valdez and Dangwa and Plaza. So you recall that she came up with an affidavit, which was, by the way, notarized by the now Deputy Commissioner of the BIR for purposes of, if I recall it correctly, seeking immunity as a witness. So it was easier for us to pass upon these cases because there was this confession of Napoles, and of course, independently of that, we had the testimony of Louis, and we had documentary evidence sourced from Louis and sourced elsewhere.
So it's clear to you that the reason among the big fish that you charged with are Senators Enrile, Estrada, and Revilla. They were the three because they were the ones that were part of the narration, which was notarized by Janet Lim Napoles back then.
Right. It was easier for us to pass upon the evidence because here comes the alleged conspirator or alleged, what's this, principal malefactor, saying that this and that and that, and coming out with details that only she would have furnished.
If we were to look, move forward now to the situation now, you had a Janet Lim Napoles who was given a provisional inclusion in the witness protection program, and possibly back then Secretary Aguirre was looking at turning her into a state witness because she had a narration of other lawmakers numbering about 100 who were supposedly involved in the PDAF and the DAP. Is that something you believe, ma'am?
That was unfounded on the part of Aguirre to begin with. It is the ombudsman who has the final say on who will be indicted. So you speak only of state witness when a case is already filed in court. So what was he talking about? The cases filed in court, that was not his concern. It was the concern of the ombudsman. So he was out of tune when he was saying that he was considering Napoles to be a state witness. Unless, of course, he was referring to cases that were going to be filed yet. But then again, he could not have stated that because, again, as I said, it's the ombudsman who will determine who will be a state witness.
I think it was made clear eventually that there are succeeding cases that can be filed. But again, as you say, Ombudsman, it's up to the office of the
because
Ombudsman to
whatever
determine
investigation they had to refer it to us, and the final say on who will be indicted or who will be freed would be the Ombudsman.
So you have a new secretary, Menardo Guevara now. Are you more confident? What are your thoughts about him? He lifted the provisional authority of the Witness Protection Program of Janet Lim Napoles. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, he's fair. He has no integrity issue. And I believe that he did correctly by lifting or at least recognizing the termination of the provisional placing of Ombudsman, of Janet in the Witness Protection Program.
But you have a Solicitor General Justice who I interviewed very recently. So Solicitor General Jose Calida was telling us we should listen, government should listen to the narration or to what Janet Lim Napoles knows about this PDAF or
There's
the DAP.
nothing that can prevent everyone to listen to her if indeed she has a salvo against anyone. So he's right. We should hear her, whatever she wants to say.
I mean, for someone like you, would you want to listen to Janet Lim Napoles? Would she have any credibility for you?
At this point in time, whatever she says now would probably be taken with a jaundiced eye, because if she had wanted to say something before against someone, she should have done that years back. It's now 2018. The last time I think that she came up with an affidavit was 2014. That's 4 years ago. What was the reason why she did not say anything against anyone, whereas she is implicated in Rile, Revilla, and Estrada?
But they were opposition senators back then, Justice.
I did not look at the political color of these people.
What they're saying is that only 3 were charged because they were opposition senators, and that was the time during the Aquino administration. So fast forward to a Duterte administration, there are more names that could come out who could be part of the Liberal Party.
Well, it would depend on what she's going to say. It's still premature for me to say if her credibility is dented or it can be given credit.
All right. Can I move on to some of the investigation being conducted by the Office of the Ombudsman prior to you leaving?